Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to Qwertyes in a double feature of the two different flavors of Swedish meatball available in the game. The cheese wedge and the blunt trauma. First off, the Strv 103, the famous S-Tank in all of its glory. This is a bit of a derpy boy. You can see that we've sped up the replay while Qwertyes gets into position. Effectively, the Strv 103 is an excellent area denial / ambush vehicle, which is exactly its intended purpose historically. It's always nice to see a vehicle in War Thunder performing as intended. The gun handling in real-life trials was found to be not held back by the fact that the gun is mounted solidly to the chassis with no traverse or elevation independent of the vehicle in general, being actuated entirely by the sophisticated suspension of the vehicle, where the whole tank will lift up to line up the gun, will lean side to side, and the tracks capable of making fine adjustments. I'm talking, of course, about the real-life features of the vehicle. In the game of War Thunder, the hull aiming system is not well polished. That is the #1 reason that I would recommend, if you haven't bought the Strv 103 yet, maybe hold off on purchasing it. But this is not a review by any means. We're just gonna watch Qwertyes definitely have some fun using the S-Tank in its intended role, fitting it into the meta of War Thunder nicely. And we can see the position he's taken up on the map here. A flanking position going for long range fire is a good friend to the S-Tank. You can see he does take several hits from what I assume is MK103 HVAP ammunition, going through the top of his vehicle some and bouncing off quite a bit. And as someone who has flown cannon casts against the S-Tank a few times now, even in the Narwhal with its improved 50mm cannon compared to the MK103, which is famous for its penetration power and ability to shred ground targets, the S-Tank is sturdy against cannon casts and other forms of attack, to the extent that the survivability of the S-Tank, while theoretically fantastic in real life, is well represented in the game of War Thunder. So what is this? In essence, I would call this a slightly awkward, slightly overpowered, and in that combination it finds balance, upgrade to the Jagd Panther. So, if you're used to the Jagd Panther or even the Jagd Tiger, this is essentially a more mobile Jagd Tiger with an incredibly fast firing, high velocity cannon, which is absolutely right in line with the meta of War Thunder. The only thing holding you back is the awkward aiming scheme, which is something I would expect to see improvement on over the next few months in War Thunder, but there are no guarantees. One of the things that's been around ever since stabilizers have been introduced is the cannon bouncing on uneven surfaces in the game, and that even affects vehicles that don't have a stabilizer. So don't expect, you've probably heard all this before, but don't count on Gaijin fixing problems in their game. You will be sadly disappointed. So if the awkward and difficult aiming is a deal breaker for you, don't expect that to change anytime soon. However, it's getting increasingly difficult for me to not buy this tank. The only reason I haven't bought S-Tank yet is because there's nothing to research with this tank. There are no unlockable, researchable, regular tech tree vehicles available to the Swedes at this time. They'll probably be coming in the next 6 months or so. I would expect them around halfway through 2020. That is next year, right? It's almost New Year here. And by the way, welcome back to me. I haven't made a new video in a while, so it's nice to see you all. Sorry for harping on about the Strv 103 for so long. I know you're used to hearing me just yammer on about my daily life and whatever I feel like talking about that has nothing to do with War Thunder. So welcome to that part of the video. I think I haven't really said anything new with regard to the S-Tank anyway. You've probably heard all of this before, and you've probably seen some fantastic demonstrations of what this tank can do, but kudos to Qwertyes, who is a very active contributor and player of the game of War Thunder. I really do appreciate the replays you send in. I'm not at all turned off by the vast quantity that you send me. They've always been an interesting video. And I also encourage you all to not be discouraged by how many of Qwertyes' replays I feature. There are lots of interesting things that you all can show me as well, if your name doesn't happen to be Qwertyes69. So, go ahead and send in those replays, is what I'm saying. I'd love to see them. It's nice to be back to making War Thunder videos. I didn't plan on making a video today because today's Sunday. I usually take the day off and just relax. I am a big fan of taking a day off to relax. The idea of a day of rest is something that's very welcome in my mind. I like to take life as it comes anyway. I'm sort of a take it easy kind of guy. If you're looking for somebody with a generally chill attitude, that's usually me. Usually. But that's just about the end of the match for Qwertyes. A quick, I think it was 7 kills, and now on to the other Swedish vehicle that's available, the SAV, whatever the heck this is. It's 100 and, what is it, 120, I think, millimeter howitzer with basically a 6-shooter autoloader. So a very rapid loading autoloader at around, I think, 1.2 seconds between shots. It's almost a semi-automatic fire. Very impressive, as you will see. This is not really breaking new ground in the sense that at 6.7 the Americans have the T114 that functions in a very similar manner, and yet 1.2 seconds reload on a big boy derp gun can really be impressive. The high explosive on this vehicle is not utterly useless. I think it has around 30 millimeters of pen, which is enough to blow through the upper the whole roof armor of, say, a Sherman tank, even a Sherman Jumbo, which is useful. And the AP round, I think, has around 90 millimeters of pen. This is a very derpy AP HE round, and all of that is to say, at the relatively low battle rating that this nimble and extremely powerful gun platform enjoys, along with the fact that the gun aiming on this vehicle is very reliable and rather quick for a casemate tank destroyer, you're looking at what is essentially an M18 with a fixed mounting on steroids at a rather low battle rating. It is a very, very effective weapon, a platform that may go up in battle rating soon in the game of War Thunder, or at least eventually, but we'll have to see. It might be stuck in Sherman Jumbo or KV territory, where it just remains a very powerful vehicle, because any increase in BR may render it almost toothless on account of the lack of penetration for the main gun. Look at that quick rounds on target time. The shell velocity, reminiscent of a Sherman, not entirely terrible, especially for a small map, but definitely something you'll have to compensate for, and I think that sums up the SAV fairly well. M22 Locust, not a chance. That's a lot of damage. I don't even think the high explosive warhead detonated on that APHE round, but I could be mistaken. So back to current events. I wasn't planning on making a video today, but the D&D game night at my friend's house ended up wrapping up pretty quickly, so we didn't really even get into playing the game. We just hung out for a while, and then my buddy Sam had to take care of his kids because they weren't getting to sleep. So that ate up most of what would have been our playing time, but I'm always happy to go and hang out with my friends and just talk. And the D&D is sort of like the meat to the barbecue. A barbecue is really about the people and less about the meat. Boy, it sure is nice to dig in every now and then, though. But I really don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. In fact, it gives me some time tonight to do something I've been jonesing to do for a long time, and that's to make another War Thunder video. I have so much footage on my computer. I have lots of replays that I'd love to share with you guys, that people have shared with me, and I did get a chance to record everything that got sent to me before the major update. And look at that fire rate, dear Lord in heaven. And there's the high explosive round going in through the roof of that 105 Sherman into the ammunition for the kill. Difficult to pen the front of a Sherman, but Qwertyes, thinking quickly, dabs that 2 key and lobs one into the crew compartment from above. The high explosive round functioning nicely. An inconsistent and unreliable system at times in War Thunder, but working out very nicely for Qwertyes in this case. Now, with presumably an armor-piercing round loaded, looks like a Valentine, as 2 rounds rapidly fly toward the target. It looks like the accuracy of this gun is a little bit lower than the Sherman, which is reasonable. A lot of the lower rank cannons in War Thunder have slightly higher accuracy than you would expect out of, say, a halfway howitzer. But that by no means holds back this vehicle. Now, one thing that is going to hold you back is that you do need to take time to replenish that first stage ammo rack. Those 6 rounds in the auto loader get reloaded at not a stunning rate individually, so you need a bit of a break between the sound and the fury, or you will accomplish nothing, soon finding yourself on a long reload and a short lifespan against enemies who are very interested in taking you out of the fight. And of course, since you don't get a long list of backup vehicles for the sweetie boys, it's going to be a while before you can be effective if you can't make that life count in the SAV or the STRV 103. Anyway, enough shop talk. Again, it really is nice to be making another War Thunder video. I did not at all get frustrated with this game when I decided to take a break over the Christmas holiday and just spend some time enjoying my family. I really got to see a lot of my family, a few at a time, which is my favorite way to do things, because then I can really connect with people. And there are more people that I'd like to go wish a Merry Christmas to in my family, even though the date of the holiday has come and gone. You may or may not be aware that, well, I celebrate the birth of Jesus, but it's not at all the actual day on the calendar that he was born. In fact, Jesus wasn't even born on the calendar that I follow. He would have been born in keeping with the lunar calendar. Anyway, I suspect that baby Jesus was born around the time, if not on the day, of the Feast of Tabernacles. It just makes a whole lot of sense in the context of the Bible, and anyway, all that is to say, if it's 20 days after Christmas and I'm still saying Merry Christmas to you, I truly believe that it wasn't Jesus' birthday when I started saying it, so it's okay if it's not his birthday when I keep saying it. So I guess here on the 28th, 29th of December, Merry Christmas to you all. I love you guys, and it's nice to see you. I'm going to be making a lot more War Thunder videos. I did miss out on one of the event stars. Are they called stars this time? We all know what they are. The tasks, the medals. So it's going to be another 2 days before I get each one of the rewards than what other people who've gotten them every time have been getting, but I think I'll be able to get through Operation Frost without paying any money into it, which will be nice. I've really considered spending some of my golden eagles. I picked up 1,000 as part of a pack. I bought the Japanese tank destroyer. What's it called? I can't remember. But you know the one I'm talking about, the premium casemate tank destroyer. It's like a Ferdinand that went on a little bit of a diet and still stayed a mean fighting machine, and it's been a lot, and I mean a lot of fun to play. And talk about a lot of fun, look at the Daka going down range, a full-sized howitzer, what you would call a medium or heavy howitzer, firing some very gnarly semi-armor piercing ammunition out of its main gun at an almost autocannon rate of fire. Truly a sight to behold as Qwertyes takes down everything in front of him and then himself gets finished off while he's reloading. Again, you can accomplish a lot in a short amount of time in the SAV, but then you've got a long reload for each one of those rounds, so a little bit of caution and a whole lot of planning your escape routes can really pay off. And at the same time, this is possibly one of the most fun and wildly enjoyable low-tier premiums for you to get your hands on. This might be the way to get into the Swedish tree when those tanks finally come out. In any event, it's a welcome addition to War Thunder. Borderline overpowered, but I think with the rate of fire and the lethality of what you can face at this battle rating, it should be okay. It has a little bit less pen than a lot of the German vehicles that you can face. It has a whole lot less armor, and it will have a tough time with things like Churchills and KVs, so even Shermans can shrug off a lot of the damage from this vehicle if they're doing things right and you're not getting your high explosive in an uncomfortable spot. So The low battle rating is definitely to the advantage of this vehicle, but I wouldn't say it's an overwhelming advantage. In other words, I don't think this thing is going to break Matchmaker, even when people start to spam it out when the Swedes truly come to the game in full force. And that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. I would highly expect a regular tech tree variant or two of the S-Tank, and as Qwertyes finishes off his final target in beautiful style, I say Merry Christmas to you, Happy New Year, and good night. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Link to the Discord if you want to chat with me there or send in your own replay. And thanks again to Qwertyes for all that he did last year and what he'll do next year as well, I'm sure. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.